second agenda item is public comment. Public participation is encouraged in the Laurel School District. All meetings of the board will be open to the public except as provided by law. Audience members may address the board during public comment for non-agenda interests or during the discussion of the relevant printed agenda item. Your attendance is welcome. If you plan to speak to the board, please look over the information on the agenda, then complete the public comment section on the other side of the card that is in the back and give it to the superintendent or the board chair. Public participation is a right that carries certain responsibilities, such as informing oneself in advance of the issues being discussed, voluntarily being as brief and germane as possible, not unduly repeating remarks others or you have already made, and showing respect at all times for the rights and opinions of others, whether citizens, board members, school district employees, or students. Is there any public comment for non-agenda items? Hearing none, we will go ahead and move on to correspondence. We had several thank yous for our food pantry to Cheryl Hill at the front porch, Ethan Chandler at Your Pie Pizza, Beartooth Pediatric Dentistry, Laurel Family Dental, Laurel's Main Street Perk, and Woods Power Grid. So thank you for the support of our students district. Next, we have the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to pull the minutes, both regular sets of minutes from the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of numbers 1 and 3 under A. Or do you want the special board meeting minutes as well? No. Okay, so just 1 and 3 under A. Is there any discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote on the motion to approve the consent agenda, less the items under A, 1, and 3. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries unanimously.
I do have several corrections that I think need to be made to those meeting minutes before we approve them.
So we'll go ahead and discuss before we make a motion.
Because some of them are questions, I'm not certain, but I thought I would question them. So on the first regular minutes from the 14th meeting, under number 3, the presentation, item B, PLC, I believe, stands for Professional Learning Communities, not committees. Somebody stop me if I'm wrong on any of these. Under item 5, the action items, under item A, it references the middle school activity fees. And I believe it's supposed to be a $75 fee rather than $50 if they're playing up. Do you see where I'm looking at that?
That is correct. It's a high school fee.
So it should be listed at
It should be
70.
75.
And then under items G and H, the transportation and driver handbooks, I believe are for fiscal years 23-24, not 22-23, that we were approving. Under item N, on the action items, item N, approving policy 3612F. It says 3612NF, so the N needs to be removed. On item 6, information items, item E, I believe it's referring to the MTSBA reporting that Jenny does, but it lists her as just Jenny. I think maybe you just forgot to finish typing Jennifer Jones. If somebody else were looking at this, they'd go, Jenny who? Item 8. No, I'm going to disregard that one. That's it for the 8:14 minutes, and then I have a couple more on the 8:28 minutes. And I'm really sorry about this, Julie. I'm sure you were just pressured because they were long meetings and it was trustees report time of year. But I think it's important to have it right in the minutes. So in the 8:28 minutes, under the action items, D, it was to approve, not approval. Simple typo. And item E, the last line of the motion is duplicated. And I can give all of these to you later, Julie, if you, rather than trying to write them all down right now. But does everyone see what I'm referring to on item E? And then under the information items, first paragraph, the last sentence should be comprised. The word be is left out. And then, and the rest at large, not a large. That's it. I hated to call them out at a board meeting, but it was too late anyway. They were already posted on the agenda, so maybe proofreading might be advisable. Sorry.
Is there any other discussion? With no discussion, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve those with the amended items. Motion to approve that.
Second.
Motion to approve the minutes from August 14th, 2023 and August 28th, 2023 with the noted amendments. Is there any other discussion? Anything from the public? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to section 5 action items. A, policy 2235 F1, human sexuality instruction annual notice, second reading. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve policy 2335, form 1.
Second.
So I have a motion to approve by Jenny, a second by Chris B. Any discussion? Donnie?
I think we need a clarification there. The item A says policy 2235 and item 1 says 2335.
The policy itself states 2335. So I stick with my motion to approve policy 2335, form 1.
Any other discussion? Anything from the public? Go ahead and vote. The motion is to approve policy 2335.
Oh, you're good. Sorry.
No, it's fine. To approve policy 2335 F1, All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. B, non-union positions, substitutes for classified wages. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the increase in substitute wage for classified employees from $12 to $13.50.
Second. Discussion?
I'd like to ask, did we,
We have. This is not for substitute teachers either, be a different motion, and that's not even on this agenda, but this is for classified, so it would be your aides, your custodial subs, that type of stuff.
Do we have any idea what that dollar amount is we might be looking at?
We don't have a lot of subs for that area. Most of our sub money goes into certified staff members. This brings it up to the kind of the level 0 first year, level 0 for a classified worker. Again, we don't think the impact will be huge just based on the last few years, but try to get somebody to sub in those areas is difficult as is.
Discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. Motion by Chris and a second by Chris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next, we have item C, annexation of the Mogan Field into the Laurel, or City of Laurel. Do we have a motion?
a motion to approve the annexation of Mogan Field into the Laurel city limits?
Second.
So you have a motion by Jenny, a second by Donnie. Any discussion?
Is all the engineering studies been done on this? Do we know that it's for sure buildable there?
We're not totally done. We've got some geotechnical, we bore some holes. And we don't think it's going to be an issue at this point, just a matter of what we're going to do to the foundation to make sure it's all stable. Like when they built the weight room, the athletic facility over there, they put in these pillars in there. I think they put like 17 pillars in there to stabilize, and they put them like 25, 30 feet down. So they anticipated doing that months ago. The geotechnical is not back yet, but that's what we're kind of hearing. But they're going to have to build that, even if they rebuilt it on the current Graff site, that was probably going to have to be done. So yeah, right now we haven't heard back yet, but they're not rookies at this. They already, from the 3 holes we drilled at Mogan, that's probably where we're looking at, is those pillars.
Any other?
Can you just help me understand I didn't realize that Mogan Field wasn't part of the city already, and what are the requirements that it be, and what will be the benefits of it being?
Well, we have to get it on city water and city sewer, and that's part of that process, is we have to have it annexed in. Actually, Alder is the cutoff right now for the city, so we're literally, the water is fairly close because it comes to the middle school up Alder, and I'm not sure how far up Alder it comes. And then the power, we'll get it from Northwest, 3 phases, about a block away. I think it comes down Maryland to almost to Alder, so we got to bring it just a little bit further. But that's just part of digging into the city and using city water and sewer, we have to have it annexed and we've applied for that. We just need this group's permission to go forward on it.
Did the city have any issues with annexing it, or is it simply a request?
Probably not. They have requested, again, unofficially, they've requested us, because if you guys know, if you're coming along Maryland, right when you get to Mogan, it kind of just takes a little bit of a jog left and then straightens back out. It's not straight. You ever notice that? Well, one of the things that, again, it was all informal conversation. They said, well, if you guys do annex that, we would love to, for you to give us 10 feet or something so we can straighten Maryland out there. So, again, shouldn't be an issue, but that's something that'll probably come up in the process and will probably come back to this group because we would have to vote. If it's not something the city wants. They just talked about it. Again, it was all unofficial and, not off the record, but just unofficial, like, hey, would you guys be willing? They said, and that's not a quid pro quo or anything. It's just they would love to straighten out that street, and we're the ones who have that property. So that's something that may come up in the near future, but again,
So is this an application for them to approve us to be annexed?
but you're not,
correct?
you're approving us moving forward to request
Request it.
annexation.
They're, okay.
You don't approve that. City council approves annexation, and they have their process they go through. So we just need to get the paperwork in and get things moving forward.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. We have a motion by Jenny and a second by Donnie. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next, D, Yellowstone Academy Contracted Services. Do I have a motion?
Do you want to have a question about what these are? I can certainly explain that.
Just like to know if anything changed.
No. No, I don't. In fact, I don't remember seeing this last year, so I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Good question, but I don't remember, Julie and I talked about it. We don't remember seeing the actual amounts or having a contract approved through the board, and I couldn't find one in previous times. So I said, well, this should be going to the board, so we brought it in. The cost is, I got for a high school student is 110. And then, now this doesn't mean we have a bunch of kids. This is just saying if we use them, which we do. And then I think elementary, which is K-8, was 105 and change, I think. So you guys would just be approving us. The money that pays for those kids comes out of the tuition levy. And that money is how we pay if there are kids that get placed there for whatever reason. That's actually paid for through the tuition levy.
How many kids does this, are we talking?
On an average year, every year's a little different. We might send 5, 6, 7 kids over there. Maybe a couple more here or there, a couple less here or there, but 6 is kind of an average. At least it has been the last few years.
Just one other little piece of information is the rates that they are charging have been negotiated by them with OPI. So there's no bartering with anybody, them and OPI.
So we did discussion. Is there a motion?
I'd move to approve the contracts with Yellowstone Academy.
Second.
A motion from Donnie, a second by Chris. Is there any other discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. On to E, updated job descriptions for school nurse and cafeteria assistant. Do I hear a motion? Or do we want discussion?
I make a motion to approve the job descriptions for school nurse and cafeteria assistant.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Jenny and a second by Chris B. Any discussion? Any public comment?
attention, and I think we need to, we've asked for a meeting to address this. Anytime that a job description change is made mid-contract and the job varies, the duties of that job vary greatly, there should be an MOU signed, which has been going on for 6 months or so, that we've had a lot of job description updates that have had some great changes made to them. So mid-contract, somebody that signed on to do a certain job, their job description changes, but it's not what they signed on for, and it's not what we agreed to. So we will be addressing this, because I think there needs to be an MOU anytime there's a drastic change made or a change in duties made to that job description mid-contract. Which I know, the nurse one does not have so much, but the other one does have some changes in duties.
It's not on.
So Mr. Torx and I pulled out the CBA and looked at the job descriptions. I've given him a copy of it. And Mr. Torx, if you'd like to read what the CBA specifically says.
This was from page 19 of the CBA, and this is so Lori knows this is the reason we acted on it the way we did. Each employee's duties shall be outlined in a job description, which may be modified by the district level supervisor and or building principal acting through the authority of the superintendent and the school board. The employee and association will be notified of the change. So that's how we were acting on it. I guess I never looked at it as going against the CBA. We were following that.
Any other discussion? Yep. Yeah.
Peggy, can I ask you a question? Did the hours or the wages change at all for this position? Or
It's all
for any of the
same.
workers that fell under this position?
I beg your pardon, what's the last question?
Or for any of the workers that fall under this position?
No, the hours and the wages stayed the same. The only thing that's really different is, if you remember, we talked a couple of meetings ago about how Lori brought up that the cashier position didn't exist, when in fact we do have an employee in that role. And so we were trying to figure out the best way to incorporate that, because when I reached out to the union, they didn't want to do an MOU. So the best way to do that when we rewrote those job descriptions is include the cashier with the cafeteria assistant, and then they could be cross-trained and they could do multiple duties, so that one person just isn't the cashier. They can clean up, or they can cut up fruit, or whatever that they need done. So that's why we did that.
And if someone's sick or gone, then you could, hey, would you jump in and be the cashier for today? And there's some little bit of cross-training going on. It's just a cafeteria assistant, and they may help in the kitchen. They may be doing some cashier work, serving, things like that.
Any other? Hearing none, we have a motion on the table by Jenny and a second by Chris B. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to F, eliminate project number 672. Do we want to discuss this first?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to default this over to Mrs. Jones, and basically, we think we just don't need it anymore, but I'll let her explain.
So whenever they have a special project going on, we try to do like a project number behind the actual code so we can track. And this was for the sports facility. And anyway, it's been, several years, and we've been tracking donations coming in, but there's been, some people said, yeah, they'll pledge this much. And not all the pledges have come in. There's a few that haven't came in for the last few years. So, and basically what I was told, this project was supposed to be all paid for through pledges and whatever. Well, it hasn't. I mean, we're on the, the school's on the hook for about $120,000. And so I'd like to just eliminate that project and just, have it, part of, both funds that it's involved in. I've got enough cash to be able to eliminate the deficit in there and just move on. It's built, it's, people are using it, it's a great facility. Yep, it costs the school some money, but that's where I'm at with it.
Chris?
Did the project go over budget, or is it just strictly because the pledges did not come in?
I have no clue whether the project went over budget because I wasn't here at the time.
It ultimately became an underfunded project. The donations and pledges that had been made would not have covered the full cost of it. The reason for establishing the project reporter was just to see how much the district was actually going to end up being responsible for in the end. I would agree with Julie, the project's complete. We know how much the district is responsible for in the end. Let's just cover it and move on.
Well, I see there's 25,000 in pledges. Has anyone ever followed up with these individuals or businesses if they have an intention to complete their pledged obligation?
Well, I thought about that and I looked in I looked in my files and I don't have the pledges actually in writing. And so it's hard for me to follow up on something when it's just by word. That's where I'm at. If I had it in writing that so-and-so is going to pledge this much, then I can follow up on it. That's why I have not followed up.
So when we built this thing, we knew we were going to be on the hook for this, some portion then. When it started. I mean, none of us were here, so it's really hard to.
The project, the way it was envisioned originally by the original donor, who gave a huge donation to have this completed, didn't really understand all the requirements that school districts have to follow and all the things, the requirements they have to meet. And so it was a much more costly project to do it following the law than was donated by the original donor. That individual volunteered to step up and continue collecting donations from other businesses and individuals. But the total donations just didn't match up to the total cost of the project. But the project was definitely a good thing for Laurel High School. And there was enough momentum behind the entire project that there wasn't a good way to stop it just because we were going to end up tens of thousands of dollars short of a $1 project.
Well, and I think that although the intent was to have it fully paid for 100 and whatever, 50, 120 or whatever we were left on the hook with, we got essentially an extra classroom, maybe even two in any class period to use during that time, that only cost us $120,000 or $150,000 in the end. So I'd say that was a good investment by the district. So, and I think it built a lot of goodwill with the community, that the community did get behind that, and we're excited about it, and the kids use it every day.
There were a lot of additional costs too that were desired by the trustees and the district themselves, such as security systems and landscaping and things of that nature that weren't really part of the donation in the beginning.
Any other discussion or questions? Any public comment? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the elimination of 672.
Second.
A motion by Chris L. and a second by Donnie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the motion passes. G, surplus property resolution. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve the resolution declaring surplus property.
Second.
I have a motion by Donnie, a second by Jenny. Is there any discussion? Any public comment? Oh, sorry.
Do we have a plan for how we're getting rid of these particular items? Are they basically trash or?
Some are trash, some of our items we might put out there to sell. You guys are basically giving permission for us to get rid of them. Some things get sent to the dump if they're broken up. Sometimes, I don't know when's the last time we've had an auction here or been part of a county auction. I know some schools, that's how they get rid of it, though we haven't done it. Most of the stuff to get rid of is in relatively bad shape. If we have desks and stuff that we take out, we reuse them and put them in a pile and pull them out and reuse them. So most of what we get rid of is outdated tech, a lot of it. You see a lot of Radio Shack and Motorola stuff on here. Some old Schwinn Aerodynes that are busted up. I think they're from the high school, if I'm not mistaken. And again, just a lot of it's just busted up stuff. If we can get rid of it, though, we'll try to. It's not like a big money maker to get rid of 15-year-olds.
We do have a surplus sale twice a year. That's why.
That's right.
But we don't make a whole lot of money off of them. It's just, the way for people to know that we do have a sale, come look and.
We did have a few people come through and buy some things, though. Yeah, I forgot about that. We did.
How do we advertise that in the Outlook or?
So we'll have one probably October sometime. And then we try to do one usually in June, somewhere in there, May, June, twice a year.
Stuff just gets, if you go too long, things pile up so fast, especially in the rooms in this building and obviously in the gym. Things just get piled up, and then if it's a year or two down, then you're not sure what was already approved to get rid of, and so it's best to kind of constantly let people flow in and out. If we don't get rid of some of that stuff, it goes to the dump.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. H, Honors Symphonic Band. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve the addition of Honor Symphonic Band to a curriculum.
This was brought to Leadership and Learning, and we looked over it, and a cappella choir is already an honors course, so it makes sense for us to have a band component to that, and it, in a lot of ways, the rationale kind of mirrors that. Do you have anything to add?
Very much what Renee just added with the a cappella pieces and giving the students that one more opportunity to have another option for an honors course at the high school level. Well, the criteria does mirror, it is very specific to band and what the band is doing around tryouts, involvement in the community, and the like, very specific to instrumental ensembles.
And the level at which, the level of music they're learning is much like a cappella, more of a college level expectations.
Well, in kids, this is based on a 5-point system, so kids that are trying to get a high GPA, Mr. Cross was having trouble recruiting them to stay in symphonic band because they can go take an honors course and gain that extra GPA. So there's that component to it as well. Comment? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote. We have a motion by Donnie, a second by Chris Larash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We have I, policy 3310 P2, student discipline, chemical use and dependency, first reading. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve policy 3310 P2 first reading.
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
Is this coming from MTSBA, or are we just looking at it for a reason? Just
Coming
to-
through leadership and learning, just to clean it up a little bit. We're gonna start trying to look at
I appreciate
more
that, yeah.
policies, just to try to clean some up. Some are pretty old. Nothing we have is really old, like 80s or something like that, but we have some older stuff we just need to look at, needs to be updated. This is part of it.
And this was one we looked at, we approved during all those, so there was some component to it that must have been added at the MTSBA, but we had pulled it out because there was some, we had added or changed a couple things in it, I think, but then just to go through it, and then around this was some discussion about getting a committee together to get a fully revise this policy in the future to include, because it doesn't really include all, I mean, it talks about tobacco products, but it doesn't really talk about vaping, and to kind of all encompass, and possibly that committee look at drug testing policy to go along with. So Leadership and Learning has a plan to go back over this, but it was just to kind of clean it up so it was a little more streamlined at this point. Is that accurate, Donnie? Any other discussion or questions? Any public comment? We'll go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Now we're on to information items, so I'll just go down the list. If you want me to stop on anything, just wave your hand or yell at me. So department reports, activities. Number 2, curriculum director report. Facilities, Is Wayne here? Does he have anything?
No, he was under the weather today. I reported on a few things that are going on in my report, especially with the middle school boiler situation, just to keep you guys apprised of that.
Food services? Technology? Transportation? And I can't remember off the top of my head if it was under transportation about the fixing of the brakes on one of the buses. And I'm assuming that was the big expenditure that was also
Yeah,
the
that was,
$6,000 or
I
something.
put that on my report.
The larger price tag was on the Iron Horse. I was kind of hoping we could get an update on what's going on with that, since it's kind of been a pricey endeavor.
We'll do that under superintendent report.
Yeah, I can talk about what I know. Iron Horse, I never remember the names of each one. The new one? Okay.
So was there any questions on any of those, any discussion, any public comment? Okay, so we'll move on to financial reports. Cash report?
Big shout out to Julie. Thank you for getting those descriptions on the cash line items. Makes it way easier to read. Good job.
Revenue report? Expenditure report? High school activities for July and August? Middle school activities for July and August? Any discussion on any of those? Public comment? Okay, C, principals report, South, West, Graph, middle school, high school, link with the link crew presentation.
I just wanted to make an overall comment on the principal reports. I really like the new format. They're so much easier and pleasurable to read. I really enjoyed them. Thank you.
And uniform and similar, yeah, it's good.
And the pictures are always really nice to break up all of our reading we have to do. We get to look at some pictures of some kids, so that's always nice too.
And I love reading these reports, and now that school started, it's exciting, again, to see what the kids are doing and back to school. And this link crew is pretty exciting too. So I'm hoping that turns into something really cool.
Well, I like the, which was on Facebook too, the high school, which it was at the open house, but they had each department and kind of gave some information about their departments and how many degrees they had and what their interests were, and had some fun reading those. So those were fun too, for an opportunity for to get to know. Okay. Committee meetings, August 1st, bond council. Okay.
Same comment as the time before. It's Bridget, not Becky, if we can get those notes changed. Ekstrom.
She really wants her name to be Becky. Okay, August 10th, district operations.
Okay, here we go with the twice again. I was not there twice. I was listed as an attendee twice.
Okay, and then superintendent's report.
I guess, Matt, I'll ask you here, how did the first days of school go from your perspective?
I mean, I can only tell you who comes and talks to me and what I witnessed. I witnessed a lot of positivity. I witnessed some frustration with drop-offs at Graph. I went over and observed it a few days and talking with the principal at Graph. She wasn't happy with it either. I understand why we're doing it. I totally understand all that. But one of our solutions was, she came up with a great solution, was to pull our crossing guards and put them on the duty out in that, inside the fence area. And then if we do have any crossing guard needs, now this is just before school, after school we have crossing guards. If we have any needs before school, I think we could get some volunteers from parents who could donate 20, 25 minutes of their lives to come in and do some crossing guard duty. I don't think it would be very difficult to set up something like that. Mrs. Peterson could probably report on that more specifically, how it's going, but she's always been very positive about it. A lot of positivity amongst, a lot of teachers talk to me. Now the negative ones don't necessarily come and talk to me, I guess, but a lot of positivity amongst the teachers coming and talking to me. If I would say there's negativity, it was really with our para situation from last spring where we had a, I don't know the exact number, but a dozen or so paras switch jobs into situations where frankly they just weren't comfortable, didn't feel ready. So it's just really about how can we get paras to make those switches? How can we somehow pay and get them trained before they get there? You might move from middle school to south. I mean, that's a big movement for a person, especially if they've never worked with those kids. The job's the same, but it's a whole different level of kid, and so that makes it all different. So I think there was some frustration there. Well, I know there was some frustration there. And some people, and again, no one's come and talked to me directly, but I can't imagine there's not people frustrated with their new position. They may not like it if they want to be, another school and they happen to be at this one. So, yeah, I mean, that's just it stinks when you have to make some cuts like that and move people around. We may end up replacing people down the road here in a month or two. I don't know. But so those are not great situations, but this is a really good administrative group we have. I'm not trying to tear down anyone last year. That's not my goal, but I think this is a really good group. I think we've made some upgrades. I think we got a really nice group that wants to work together. I'm really happy with all of our new administrators and our current administrators trying to work together and make this a better place for kids to be and a place to work. So nothing's perfect, but and a whole bunch of things we need to do better on the first few days of school, a whole bunch of things we need to do better with the PIR preparation. We need to do better with giving staff time to prepare for whether it's open house or just to be prepared, period, for the first day. I think we got to look at, I don't know how to do that, but I know unions come with an idea or two.
No, that's good though. Yeah, thanks.
But no, nothing's perfect, but overall, kids were good and everything moved pretty well. Staff were prepared and did a great job, to be honest with you. So.
Any other questions or discussion?
Bus, I don't know, we did get our new bus back. We had some brake issues. No one's quite sure why we had the brake issues, but we have a locked up brake. So we've done some things to it. Hopefully we don't have problems again, but we burn out some brakes, and it wasn't like we left the emergency brake on. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Other things that could cause that, but they weren't tripped either. So no one really knows why. So just to answer the question on one of the buses, I don't know what happened to the other one, but I could talk to Zeta. But our newest one, we had the buses, some sort of brake, I don't know, lockup of some sort.
so moving on to NTSBA liaison report.
Is anybody planning to attend the region meeting in Bridger? It's like on 22nd. It's in the middle of the day of all things, but I just was curious if anybody was considering going. I thought it'd be a really good thing to go to, but tough.
Laurel District organizational chart. Matt.
This is, it's not new, it's just we made a couple little changes. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember exactly where we made the changes. It's been so long. You remember, Mrs. Pollock?
Yeah, so this org chart is actually when we update every year for the board, and if there are changes, you guys are notified of them. So you get this every year at the beginning of each school year. We added the secretary or the administrative assistant to the superintendent. We changed student services around just a tad, and that was pretty much it. Other than that, it's still the same. Job descriptions may have changed a little, like the human resources specialist and the administrative assistant. Other than that, there's no changes.
Any questions or discussion? Any public comments? Moving on to section 7, discussion, construction updates.
Told you guys I would keep you updated. This is some west, again, they're not, I won't call them blueprints, but some initial plans here. As we get these from A&E, I'll throw them your direction. This is west. We should have some by Thursday for Mogan field site. So if you look down on that page that's up on the screen, go ahead and go down to the live action. Yeah, that one right there. That kind of lets you see what the white is kind of the current west building. And then there's a wing coming off, the short wing that would be a 2-story addition. Then off the very south end would be a gymnasium. And so there'd be some other changes, but those are the kind of the external changes, and that's how it all fits in. Now, if you, what you don't see on there is, okay, well, we'd be putting a parking lot in a different place and doing a little different drop-off kind of stuff. But that gives you a general idea of adding classrooms. This would add 18 classrooms and a gymnasium to west. And this is the initial plan right here. This is what we're working off that came out of the building committees. And this is the group's rendition of it. I mean, we haven't picked paint colors and drape shades yet, but it is a floor plan idea.
What are the little L things in the hallway on the?
And the new thing?
Yeah.
Those would be some dividers, probably some lockers, or some areas where kids would hang coats. Then there'll be breakout spaces there that would have some, like maybe 4-foot dividers in there where kids might hang coats and such. And then they would have areas where they could sit and do pull-out things and kind of those flex learning spaces, they call them, so.
Like coat closets and the.
No, we're gonna get away from the 1950s coat closet concepts, yeah. That hasn't been decided. There's been talk about putting them in the long hall, the long wing that's already built, or they may go in one of the floors. We've not really decided all that.
I would say some of the classrooms will still have those spaces, just for efficiency in the remodel. We want to touch as little, as we can in some places.
Yeah, the new classes won't have the
New
thing, but the old classes will still have those.
Some of them will, yeah. This also, I'd just point out too, it is, because it kind of looks familiar with that building, the picture that we're on right now. It looks a little confusing right there behind that's behind the cafeteria towards the front of the building. That's the movement of the admin to the center of the building for access for all students. And the specialties would be going down south toward the library. So just kind of clustering them and making it easier for them to interact with the admin, and then also easier for admin to kind of access the whole building in any equitable way.
What will become of the old admin area?
Probably a classroom.
Class?
Yep, that's the
Yeah,
initial.
that's the 7th classroom for that grade level.
And then the gym, the current gym will just be a lunchroom.
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 The stage will stay there. It'll be more of a lunchroom. Just, we won't have the PE facility. That'll become the gym.
We had a lot of discussion at the last meeting about bathrooms and where, because of course bathrooms cost a lot. So how to utilize the bathrooms we have and the best way to have flow of the kids and all of that, so that we're getting the best bang for our buck, but also not having bathrooms too far away from little people that need to use them throughout the day.
It's got to fit into our budget. So, bathrooms are probably the most expensive things to remodel. So we're going to try to, and they're in pretty good shape over there. We're going to try to utilize everything we can.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? Next, B is elementary school names.
Just keeping that on the agenda, just so you know, I'll be working with the elementary. I think they had some great ideas last time, and we'll formalize that. And just to keep you guys, nothing really to report right now, but we'll just keep it on there as we come up with our system for it.
Timeline, because our owners rep kind of stressed he'd like to get it named sooner than later.
They'll be
right?
okay. They'll be
Okay.
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 They'll be fine. It's a name on a blueprint to them. It's, to us, it matters. So
True.
Any other discussion or questions on that? Any public comment? MCEL conference in October.
Montana Council on Educational Leadership is in Billings, and it's, at one time, it was really geared towards principals, and now it's more geared towards board members and some soup stuff, and a little bit for principals. But if you guys, when it is in Billings, it's inexpensive for us to send the board members. We're not paying for rooms and mileage, and it gets really pricey to send you guys to Missoula or Kalispell or something. But when it's in Billings, I encourage you, if you can go. I think you've all gotten emails on it. If not, I think I've forwarded you emails. So if you need that, just give me a buzz or tell me afterwards, and I'll find the email and forward it to you again. We can get you registered. It's not hard at all. It just takes a couple minutes. And again, it's nice because we don't have cost. It's just in Billings. I think it's at what is it now? I keep calling it the Sheridan downtown. Doubletree? Yeah, it's a Doubletree. Is where they hosted it. They have a nice conference facility up on one of the floors. I can't remember, but it's a neat thing if you have never gone. If you can take the time to go, there's quite a bit of stuff to learn and so on. So it's not as good as it once was. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not nearly as good as it once was for school administrators, but it's a lot better for board members than it ever has been. So just information. That's in October.
18th through the 20th.
Yeah,
19th. I think Thursday, Friday are the big.
Thursday and Friday, but there's also like some stuff on Wednesday that you can go to that's geared towards, like Felt Martin does some stuff on that day, but the main stuff is Thursday, Friday. So if you're interested, let Julie or I know, and we'll figure it out for you.
D, General Contractor Selection Committee.
I'm assuming Brittany has talked to a couple of you. We need a couple of board members on that committee. That committee meeting, we've tentatively, Shane and I have tentatively set that for, I believe it's October 4th. My phone check. And that first meeting on October 4th will be to review the qualifications of any group that's put in for it. And then we'll review, then at that meeting, we're going to create another meeting, hopefully the next week, and we'll review all the proposals. And then we'll have the, what do you call those, the interviews or whatever, or the presentations. And then we'll be picking someone in October for our general contractor. We're going through a process where we can ask for both at the same time, the qualifications and proposals. We're estimating, if we're just guessing, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7 is what we're hoping to get minimum for proposals. I know there's quite a few. These are larger projects, and these companies jump at them pretty good. So,
Any other discussion or questions? Any public comment? Moving along to 8th grade participation protocol. You want to talk?
I'll jump up and talk. Andrew did a good job of putting this together. He used some other schools that he's been associated with that have been doing this for a couple of years now. And one of the things that he and I talked about was making sure this was very much an adult coach, administrator driven process. Some of the processes we see at other schools are very much kid driven, where kids come in and they ask to play. We really want this to be about numbers. We're proposing, this was kind of the first draft, so look at it, and it's in discussion, which means I have it in a Google Doc here that I can make changes on, but it's definitely our first draft, first attempt, and it's really, we want something put in place that the board can adopt, and then it's something that just happens, and we're not constantly coming back to the board for permission. We can go ahead and approve these at the administrative level under all these processes and requirements. Some of the things that we're a little shaky on, where if you look on the last page, it really boils down to, okay, well then what are the numbers? If we're going to say you need a certain number of numbers, if you have certain numbers, you don't need 8th graders. Well, what are those numbers? Well, our first attempt was really going to what other schools are doing. And for example, on that last page, it talks about cross country. Well, we're looking at 7 boys, 7 girls. If you have a solid 7 boys, 7 girls, those are full teams. You don't need 8th graders. Oh, is that what we want? Volleyball. Okay, what's a general number? Okay, our schools were right around 24, so we thought we'll try 24. That's 8 kids on a team, 8 C squad, 8 varsity, 8 JV. If we could all survive with those numbers, because they can play 2 ways. C squad kid can play JV. So that gives them some flexibility. What does a golf look like? What's soccer look like? Can they scrimmage? Can they, it's all those conversations we had. So this was our first attempt. And then how do you deal with wrestling and track, where it's not really a numbers game. It's, more of an event and weight class and stuff. So what does that look like? So we're, I made some notes on there. Softball 20. If we do baseball, we thought we'd put that in there at 20. We did comment on the very bottom, there'll be no cuts of high school athletes to bring up 8th graders. If you have 20 high school kids for softball, I really like that 8th grader, so we'll cut a couple high school kids. That isn't how we want it to work. It's not how I want it to work. Those 8th graders have 4 years to play high school. It's going to be okay. If we have enough high schoolers, let's play those kids. Well, that's okay. Well, I told you it was the first draft. Holy cow.
I just want to know something.
Donnie and I are gonna make people grammatically correct if it kills us.
No, that's fine. So I left it as a Google Doc so we could monkey with it tonight. If you guys had some ideas, we would certainly do that. I know the whole board isn't here. If you want to just take it home and read it, we're not panicked or anything. I think we can take a few meetings to look at this, go over it, and decide just exactly what you think you want it to be.
Is there other discussion, questions?
I guess on page 2, bullet point 4, it says that they'll be approved before the season begins and go through the tryout process. But how do we know if we'll have the numbers if the season hasn't yet started?
That's where we're really talking to our head coaches to make sure to have those early preseason meetings so they anticipate, they're getting down with their high school teams and talking, say, okay, I have 15 soccer players. All right, I need to make sure now that I need to have a middle school meeting with those 8th graders to see the interest on all of them.
Yeah, okay.
So we have those hard numbers as best as we can.
And I like started them all at the same time so the 8th graders feel as much a part of the process and the team and not.
You want to, and that's why we want to get them in early. Now, there's some things happen where you expect 10 kids to go out and only 4 showed up, or that happens. But as a head coach, I couldn't tell you a single season where I didn't know down to the girl who was going out for girls basketball or boys basketball. I knew. I talked to those kids in the hall. Well, you weren't at the meeting. Oh, I had to work. Yeah, put me down. Versus, coach, I'm not sure. And then we have a conversation and we'll decide as a group there, and they'll say, I'm just not sure it's for me. All right, I totally respect that. So I'll take you off the list. So you know who's going out, who's not. And there'll be a kid here or there. But we really you have to establish some numbers somewhere. Otherwise, or make it student driven. If you want to try out, I know at Lockwood, their AD told me, you might remember the numbers. He was sitting beside me when they talked about it. They had like 21 8th graders go out for high school volleyball because theirs is just open. If you want to try it, try it. All 21 got cut because none of them were at that level, but it's kid driven, which means they just try out. If they make it, you make it. And then it's just an 8 through 12 tryout. Whoever makes it, makes it. Whoever gets cut, gets cut. The advantage of getting cut as an 8th grader is you just go down and play middle school volleyball. But if you get cut as a high schooler, you're done. So that's another system and another way to look at it. We kind of approached it a little differently. My personal feeling, but again, it's going to be up to.
Well, I think that I like it being coach, AD, parent driven rather than the kid driven. Because if kids are trying out and their parents aren't on board, it just creates an issue if they get put on a team and then the parents like, whoa, we don't want my 8th grader doing that. The only comment I had was we have, like under golf, we have boys and girls separated, cross country boys and girls. I think we should do that under soccer, basketball, even wrestling, because is wrestling going to be 26 boys and 26 girls? Or do they, I don't know how wrestling works, sorry, but.
There's different weight classes for each one. Right now, the Montana High School Association kind of switches the girls' weight classes around. So there's not as many girls' weight classes as there is boys' weight classes. So it is probably something we need to look at, the total numbers for girls, because they are allowed, it's a sanctioned sport, they are allowed to come up if needed. So we probably need to separate those out.
We didn't separate them out we didn't say boys or girls for like basketball because it's just basketball. You have 21 in your program.
Well, I think we should, though, if we're doing golf, we're saying boys and girls, and we're saying cross country. I think we should just do it to be consistent. But, so we're coaches, I'm assuming the coaches were all given input on these numbers as well?
I sent this document out to all the head coaches just to take a look at it and stuff.
Discussion or questions from the board? Chris?
I just hope moving forward that the high school coaches put as much attention on developing middle school programs as they do on bringing up 8th graders to their programs. I see that the programs, especially athletic programs in middle school, benefit the lower socioeconomic kids. A lot of those kids don't have the opportunity to go on and play club sports or traveling sports. And as a public school, those are the kids that we have to represent as well. So I'd like to see the opportunities for them in middle school so they can gain the skills to make a high school team.
I'm really big on getting especially our high school. It's not the high school football program. It's the Laurel Public Schools football program. So getting that vertical alignment in all of our programs is huge for all our kids.
I know there under your little triple asterisk, there will be no cuts instead of not be cuts. There will not. Oh, did it
Donnie
change?
already made that.
Oh, you already fixed it? Man, I was like, because then I read it again. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That reads the way it's supposed to.
I'm making, I already did boys and girls too. You can go back and check. It's all
You
boys and
got
girls.
me.
Again, we'll go back and try to edit, but I'll put in those boys and girls. That makes sense.
So as the track, I mean, are we just,
We had 125 kids out for track.
I was,
And yeah, there may be a particular, they could be in 5 events and a relay. I don't know. We sat and hammed it out on that for 20 minutes.
I had a long conversation with the track coach too. It was just kind of one of those things like, what do? You leave it at 5. You know, they have some rules that, you know, kid has to do at least 2 events. So if they don't have 5, and we had 125, we don't think we ever will need 8th graders. You know, I even throw out
We don't have room on a bus for it, even if we wanted it.
a total number of 90 kids, then we start looking at 8th graders, but still,
A lot of kids anyway.
it's tough. Track's one of those, I don't think we'll ever need it, but I think the 5 events is a good thing to put in there and just gives us a little bit more time. And those numbers on there as well as, you know, if we do approve this or, you know, go forward with this, it's something we could adjust those numbers, you know, next July or August.
If they don't turn out to be good numbers, it's not like we're stuck with this.
Do we have any public comment?
I was just gonna say, I think it's a good framework to start from though. It looks really good.
Hello, I'm Mark Verlanik, and I'm one of the middle school and high school wrestling coaches. I really like this document. The only thing is, like wrestling, we might have over 26 kids, might have 40 kids, but we don't have like a weight class, anybody in a certain weight class. So that's why we'd bring them up. And to answer Chris V's, being a middle school coach, we are really working to develop those kids and out. You know, I tried, we had 50-some kids out last year for middle school wrestling, which was the most we've ever had. We have meetings, we get kids, even if they've never wrestled before, we try and get them to come out and try it. You know, if you've never wrestled before, come out and, you know, try it. And a lot of them seem to love it, you know, and they stick with it. So just that whole numbers thing with wrestling is a little bit different because we might not be able to fill a weight class like 103 or 113 pound weight class with a high school kid. So
Could we change that wrestling one? Oh, it
I
is
think
in
he
there,
does have
or
in there
2 per
two
weight
per
class.
weight
Right,
class.
we made those notes on there because
But-
just saying 26 doesn't make any sense. We said or 2 per weight class or until each weight class is filled, something like that.
Yeah.
That was our first attempt, but we got that it was weird
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I guess 2 per weight class would be,
what we can enter.
well, yeah, and they have someone to wrestle at practice, and I mean,
Yeah.
We can enter 2 kids in divisionals, is that correct?
We can enter
Weight class.
2 extra at 4 different weight classes. So we only get 4 extra. So we could only bring 17 kids for divisionals. And usually it's the 103 and 113 pound.
Seen in divisionals, sometimes those weight classes, you know, I don't know how many teams are divisional off the top of my head, but you might have 20 teams and you only have 4 kids in that weight class.
Right. And there's been state tournament where there's been openings, usually not from the east part, but the western part of Montana. There's some openings where they didn't have they didn't fill a 103 pound weight class. So there is that problem too. And at one time, MHSA was flirting with the idea of adding 100 pound and then go to like 107. So that'd be if they added 100 pound, we'd definitely need some eighth graders. Yeah. So anyway, I looked over that document and I really liked what I saw. So that's my comment.
Any other comments or discussion from the board? Anything from the public? So we'll bring this back to the next
If
meeting.
you guys have any things from
I
here
like
and there or ideas, again, Andrew put a lot of work into this. It's kind of a first draft, but a pretty solid first draft, I think. So thank you, Andrew.
Okay, F, school enrollment update.
Have all that. Okay, so got some numbers written down there. The most up-to-date numbers as of this week were 1838 was our overall for the whole district. That's down about 70 kids, well, exactly 70 kids from last year. That includes 89 out-of-district students, and that includes 30 Kinder Booster, the halftime kindergarten kids as well.
Those 90 kids from our district going out of our district, or those are 90 kids from other districts coming to our district?
We're down 90 students.
Left
The
of
89 that
89.
out of district, is that coming
Oh,
in,
is 89 kids out of district.
into
That-
our district?
Yeah, those are 89 kids that are coming into our district who live outside district lines. Does that make sense? They are, yeah, because there are students here.
Do we know how many students we have that are in other districts? We don't know that number.
High school or elementary?
No, our high school's actually up. Yeah, hold on, give me a second. Our high school is at 618, and they ended last year, I believe, at 585. I was gonna say 586, 585 right in there. So they're up. We had fewer kindergartners this year. Last year we were at like 138 kindergartners, 137. I think this year we were at like hold on, I will look. We are at like 114, I believe. Yeah. So we're down in some of those numbers in kindergarten. Again, kindergarten is a crapshoot anyway. Next year, guys, all bets are off because the open enrollment starts. We'll be dropping, per state law, we'll be dropping all tuition. All schools will be. So we're going to. I've heard from the School Board Association that we're going to be getting policy on that probably like November-ish, December, to change our policy. I don't remember the number, but out of district policy, so that'll change things. So that may, no one's quite sure. Everyone's nervous. Superintendent meetings I had last week, everyone's a little nervous. We think it's gonna just be chaos. We're not sure how things are gonna get paid, how all that works. Donnie and Julie, in talking with them, even no one's quite 100% sure how it's gonna work. Because the districts have to pay each other, or it's gonna be trading checks, I guess, I don't know. So, it's gonna be interesting to say the least. Those are our numbers right now.
Kinder Boost included in the current enrollment?
Correct.
Did we have that many Kinder Boosts last year?
Yep. Yeah, we have to even, I think we even turned a few away, didn't we? Yeah, I mean, I wish we had more, but we just don't have the room, but we do get some A and B money for them, which we didn't a few years ago, but now we start to get it.
So we don't have a real clear idea why we're down 70. And my other question is this out of district number up or down from last year? Do we have
It's
more
about
kids
the
coming
same.
in?
And I couldn't tell you why people moved.
Did we have like a really big senior class?
Yeah, we had a good.
Was the
good-sized
senior class a larger size? No. Oh, okay.
Freshmen are 154, This year's seniors are 168, 165. Last year, I think we graduated, I seem like I was up there a long time. It was like 130 something or 100. Yeah, it was in the 130s or 129 or something. It was right around 130.
Do we have data on how many of our district kids are going someplace else?
I
We
don't
don't even
know
have
that.
it.
I could find out how many are homeschooled just by calling the county, because they have to register with the county.
I would more wonder who's going to another public school, because don't we have to release them to go to a different?
Let me check on that, because that should be data that we could get through, yeah, that should be a request. I'll check on that.
It'll be a lot easier to track next year since we're gonna have to pay for those kids when they leave us.
Yeah, there's gonna have to, no one's quite sure what it looks like. It's gonna be interesting to say the least. The logistics of the paying each other is what I don't quite understand. Or don't understand it at all, actually. It's going to, so,
It seems like in most of the losses in the elementary district, all of it would be in the K-8.
Do we have middle school separated out from last year to this year, or is that just all
middle
considered?
school, this year we have 563. Do you remember what we had last year? Justin's,
Is that 5 through 8?
yeah. It's elementary's the bulk. And kindergarten's a big number too, but.
This is
Essentially,
This is just gut feeling, but I think a lot of kids during the COVID era just went homeschool and now they're growing up into kindergarten, just not getting it.
homeschool exploded in the last 3 years. It wasn't a Laurel issue. This was something you saw nationwide. If you look at the stuff out there, the homeschool industry, Edgenuity and all the online high schools, they just exploded. And they continue to grow as families got their first real experience of online, and some kids liked it. It became an option for a lot of kids, which it never was before.
Families too, it worked for some people who
Yeah.
were out of work and they just wanted to stay home and they continued to just grow. So now those guys are getting into kindergarten and first grade.
Well, and I think you're finding a lot more, I think in Billings, just this year, there's like 4 or 5 new private schools,
Yeah,
Montessori
Law
type
changes
schools
has
and
probably pushed it too.
So you're seeing there's more variety and more options for people to choose from.
They opened up a couple of, all the way through high schools, I think, too.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if it necessarily reflects on the district's performance if we, just given the environment that we're in right now.
It's parental choice. It's something that the state holds pretty near and dear at the legislative level, and the more choice you have, I don't think we're shrinking away to nothing. I think we're gonna see our numbers again start to move forward. I really do.
Well, and I think that next year, given whatever that looks like next year, I think we have the potential to see an influx because of our proximity to Billings. And so I think we'll have some.
What I don't think is going to go away is the online component to education. I think that's going to continue to grow. I think some kids can finish quicker, get on to college. Others, it's just maybe a better setting for them for whatever reason. So I don't think that's shrinking. I think that's only expanding. Even though we're technically out of the COVID era where we have all these issues, it's still expanding.
Still a good opportunity when we don't have as many kids in each class to really kind of refocus and learn our new principles, and focus back on those fundamentals and get those kids the attention that they can afford with these smaller classes.
Any other discussion? Anything from the public? Okay, future discussion items. Cognia from your report.
Cognia, yeah. Well, I gotta get back to my thing. For those of you that don't remember, Cognia was our accreditation report. I do want to present that to the board, just so you read through it. It's good stuff just to know.
Probably have this, but fall benchmark testing results. We'll probably discuss those here coming up, right?
Yeah. Will we be done with fall benchmark testing by the next board meeting? Everyone's shaking their head, sort of? Okay. Okay.
Anything else?
Well, we have updates.
That is on the next board agenda. It was moved. They needed a little bit more time to gather some applications. And also, we had 2 board members gone today. We felt like that we needed to wait to the next one. So it is on the next agenda already. I think we only had, as of last week, I think we had 2 applicants as of Friday. So that gives them a chance to make sure those are complete applications and to might be interviewing 2. And then, of course, we have our repeat member. And that's already on there.
If there's nothing else, we will go ahead and adjourn at 7:30.